Hey everyone, welcome to a new video. I hope you had a great day. Let's take a look at some new r/malicious compliance stories, shall we? The first story is called I Want It That Way. Years ago I worked for a big Canadian coffee and donut shop, mostly working the evening shift. If you aren't familiar with Canadian brand coffee shops, the cream and sugar are dispensed by a machine that is calibrated to an amount determined by corporate. If you are used to ordering at the fancy green place or the running donut place, the number of sugar and creams you order may need to change depending on how much you actually want. One night we had these three bikers drive in and you could tell that they had been on the road for a while. Their ringleader was your stereotypical biker, tall, wide shoulders, big beard, covered in leather. His friends were shorter, but otherwise still had the whole tough but tired look going on. My coworker was in the back, working soup and sandwich, but it's only 3 people and it's been a slow night, so no worries. Just need to get these tired boys some caffeine and wish them a good night. The ringleader said, I want an extra large 12 and 12. Are you sure? Did I stutter? Okay, but that's only... One of his friends asked, did he stutter? No, he did not. So off I ran to make him exactly what he asked for. I grabbed a cup and put it under the sugar dispenser while I pressed the ×3 button 4 times, 12 XL shots of sugar. Then I went over to the cream dispenser and did the same thing. Now here's a fun fact. The cream and sugars are measured to dispenser 12th of the cup size you are selecting. So by the time all 12 shots of creamer were dispensed, the cup was basically full. I stirred the creamy sugar mixture around before I put an itty bitty splash of coffee in his cup, just enough to bring it up to the safety line on the cup. I tried asking him if he wanted me to heat it up or anything, but I basically got the exact same runaround from him and his friend. Obviously the guy knew what he wanted and he didn't need me to tell him what he was ordering. They grabbed the rest of their order and drove out into the night. Now you would think that was the end of the story. The big angry biker man got his nasty sugar cream drink and left me sitting there, wondering if the rest of the world had been drinking their coffee wrong this entire time. But no, I was lucky to be working the next afternoon when he came back in. Mr. Ringleader came back in all by himself the next day and shuffled up to the counter. I could tell he must have been embarrassed because his voice was a lot softer this time. He knew he messed up. The glorious aftermath is that he apologized and confirmed that the drink had been utterly disgusting. Turns out he was used to ordering from the fancy green coffee place and they use way smaller measurements for the cream and sugar. Once I knew where he was used to ordering from, I made him the approximately same drink using our measurements, roughly a triple, and sent him on his way. I only wish I could have seen his face when he took that first sip. The next story is called Fix It. Years ago, I worked in the fast path auto claims department for a major insurance carrier. Think claims that require very little effort for the parties involved, like a tow bill, windshield replacement or minor hail damage repair. I can't speak for other insurance companies, but we were very customer service driven. If during my research I found questionable info or potential fraud, we just sorta looked the other way and took care of the customer. After all, these were less than $1,000 claims and it would cost more to investigate and pursue than just to pay. So frequently, when we got new customers with new policies, they don't always realize their claims have to be within the policy period. You cannot start a policy and then claim something pre-existing essentially. Unless, of course, you just keep it simple stupid and give us the least amount of info. So I get Karen on the phone 5 minutes after filing the claim with the call center and she's mad. Your idiot call center rep from India kept filing this claim from today's date. He kept trying to make excuses but kept putting in the wrong date for these tow bill. Fix it. We didn't outsource to India. And it was a small department, so I actually knew the person she spoke to who sat 50 feet away from me and was straight up right with an Indian sounding last name. Well, I attempted to explain why they were likely doing it, but she wouldn't have it. So I just politely asked her what the correct date was. It was a week prior and her policy started 2 days after the tow bill. I asked for the copy of the bill, put in the date after I received it, the claim system put up a big red marker preventing payment and I closed the claim. I told her she'll have to file with her prior carrier and wished her a good day. Not the biggest malicious compliance, but given how low effort, it still seems ridiculous to be that upset and unwilling to listen. She probably got her money eventually, but she went through a broker and didn't know who her prior carrier was. It was a $125 bill, which would have been resolved in literal minutes, but probably took her at the bare minimum half a day, with more phone calls and call center reps to get reimbursed. The last story is called "They Wouldn't Listen." For almost 20 years, I was in the service industry. It helped in a lot of ways, but probably ended up sucking me into that lifestyle for too long. A large portion of my serving and bartending career was at a chain restaurant. I had been with this establishment for around 5 years while going through college and starting a master's. I was working at my 4th location due to various moves for school. By this point I was a server / bartender / trainer, and I had been approached multiple times about the manager and training program, but I politely declined. All of this to say, I felt like I had a pretty good standing in history with the company. Well, one day, a guy, let's call him Chad, who I personally disliked, started going through the manager and training program. Our mutual dislike started before my first day at work even, but to be concise, he was indirectly involved in a small confrontation between his friend, me, and the girl his friend was talking to. Chad had a massive inferiority complex, probably rooted in his height. And although we maintained civility at work, I'm pretty sure we were both aware that we didn't like each other. For several weeks, probably at least 2 months, bartenders weren't making money. For context, the bar area had around 9 booths arranged around a U-shaped bar in the center. But bartenders weren't allowed to take those tables, only guests seated at the bar. After several weeks of working with $40 to $50, including our bar tip, out from servers on our weekend shift, we all began pleading with management to help us. I know I and others asked for them to let us have at least a couple of tables in the bar lounge. We are talking 10 feet from the bar. Bartending was something you almost always had to work up to. Start at server, do well, and you have a shot of moving up. So we all felt like we had demonstrated the ability to handle the tables and not allow drink times or bar guests to suffer. Especially as the actual bar was pretty dead most weekends, seeing as we were making so little. So we were all offended to some degree, feeling like it was a double slap in the face of "we don't care about you not making money and we don't trust you to handle launch tables." Morale was low. One day, after we have voiced our concerns to deaf ears, when the bar was of course slow, Chad basically orders me to do something like count inventory or some other busy work. At the time I was batching cocktails and doing bar upkeep, partially because when we got it done, there was a decent chance one of us would be cut. Being cut meant, first, person cut isn't wasting time for little pay, and second, person staying makes more money. So I kind of clipped back something like, "I'm not doing that, I'm busy doing things at the bar. If you want it done, you should do it." At this point I'm mad, because from my perspective we've been pleading with them to help us. They told us to get lost. Now we are wasting our time even more with stuff that isn't really our job responsibility. All while you literally stroll around the restaurant doing nothing. Chad tried to flex his new position. If you are gonna have that attitude, you can clock out and go home. He clearly wasn't expecting me to simply go okay and immediately clock out. I turned to the other bartender, told them I was being sent home and I'm sorry. Now what Chad and the rest of management didn't know was that by pure chance I had run into a former bartender that left months ago when things had started to go south. She was at her new serving job and told me she was making great money. So the very next day I applied and used her as a referral. I got the job and immediately put in my 2 weeks at the House of Steak. My proprietor sat me down at my next shift and basically attempted to make amends and asked if I was leaving because of Chad. I said no, I was leaving because we weren't making money and you all refused to help us, which is true. The Chad stuff was annoying, but I've never been a person unable to work with those I don't personally like. Well, when the rest of the bartending staff heard about me leaving, they were curious about my new job. I told them the truth, I was making great money and they are hiring. Within 2 weeks, 6 of my former bartending crew left and got hired at the new job. Within another couple of weeks, a few more joined. The House of Steaks lost about 70% of their bartending crew and a few servers in the space of a month. They were definitely not pleased, mostly at my new managers, and that's just something you don't do, but not at me. And wouldn't you know it, a month later, bartenders are allowed to take lounge tables. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you have a great day. Bye bye.